This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be
Are you going to start now?
recorded.
Right. Hello, everyone. This is the Belchertown Energy and Sustainability Committee meeting for October 2025, and calling the meeting to order. It's 7 o'clock, and I think we've got a quorum. So this is my first time leading a meeting, so please correct me if I go off track or do something wrong. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the signing of documents, and Kathy has the minutes from last meeting, which were sent out, I think, earlier this week.
Yes.
So if there's no other changes or anything,
Yeah.
do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And I second it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got these here. We'll sign these. Pass that around.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Oh, aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting minutes are approved.
Good.
And while that's going around, we're going to talk about the additions to the agenda. And I think what we're going to do, since we have Whitney joining us, we're going to move one of the items, the select board meeting, from the other section. We're going to move that up to the first, before the reports in the agenda. So we'll talk about that so she can doesn't have to hang out for the whole meeting. I don't believe there are any appointments we need to discuss. John, unless you have anything.
I do not.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's jump right in and talk about the select board meeting.
Okay. Let me just preface it. Whitney, I send Whitney updates on occasion on what the committee's doing, and there are new committee members with us, and there are new select board members with them. So we were thinking that it might be a good idea to kind of reintroduce ourselves to the select board and vice versa, and just to kind of go over, what directions we need to take and give on both sides. So does that sound about right, Whitney?
Yes, I think that would be great. And then, John, I know also, I hope I don't put you on the spot, but I know you've also talked about goal setting and that you've been seeking some more either direction from the select board. Is that still the case, or have things changed to it?
Yeah, I think once we kind of reintroduce ourselves, then I think that'll just kind of come up on how that goes. I might try and have a meeting with Steve before then, if you think that would be worthwhile, and get his input as well. I think he needs to have a little heads up on that too. So.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll just share with you. So I did touch base with Steve today, let him know I was coming to your meeting, and that you've reached out in the past asking, for some thoughts about membership, which sounds like it's improved, and then goals. And so what he did is he sent me charge, which I'm sure you all know, but I had never seen it before, the charge of the committee.
Okay.
And he may have put a few copies on the desk there. Yeah. Hope that it didn't look too ominous to have a charge waiting for you when you walked in the room. But then, I'm sure you all thought of this, but my thought is I'm not very knowledgeable in this area. I know you've done amazing work this past year and a half, but I guess, what are the other towns doing? Are there other things that they're doing, grants get procured, that we should be thinking about?
That and we have several things going on in this town already. We've got the green communities, we've got the greenhouse gas report, that there's some recommendations in there, and of course there's the climate resilience and sustainable growth plan that's has a lot in it too. So I think what we're just trying to figure out is, what to focus on and what to do, going forward now that we have a good crew gelling together here on this end. And,
Yeah, that's great.
what are the best things for us to focus on?
Yeah, and Whitney, I don't know if you know the kind of,
Now, in
where we are.
I know I threw out a date.
What's
I'm
that,
sorry,
John?
I missed that, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, Whitney, if you don't know the kind of what we've been working on to date, we have the energy and sustainability, or the committee put together forget blanking on the name, the Energy Community Choice Program to lower costs and get more renewables in the mix to help with our carbon emissions. So we got that through. We have 2 EV chargers going in. You can see them by Affinity House. Something that we've been working on for over a year now, I believe.
4 years.
And then a lot of communication and kind of public outreach in terms of things like composting and energy use and efficiency and things like that. So that's kind of what we've been working on. And I think we're at a point now with the energy choice program is up and running. The chargers, the EV chargers are on their way. So I think we're just sort of trying to figure out what the next kind of big topics we're going to tackle are.
Yeah, thank you. I did know about those programs, and it sounds like I'm caught up, so that's helpful. And you know more than I do. I'm not very familiar with these areas, and so I mentioned the idea of other towns because that's where I would personally start my research, because I just don't know what is next. What is the next thing? Because those are such huge projects you've accomplished.
Yeah, and I think we tend to look at the Fuss and O'Neill climate resilience and sustainable growth plan, which is a 90-page document, but there is a great goals section that has a breakout that in one of the appendices that shows I think 7 or 8 different areas and ideas that we could sort of dig into. So that's kind of been our guiding document, as that's now part of it's been adopted into the town plan. So that's right. Kind of what we're looking through for our our highest impact areas, to sort of use that as our guide.
Okay.
I think we'll get into that a little bit later. I know Rich has some ideas about what he'd like to work on specifically, and I think a lot of that is covered in that plan. So I think we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, I think the date I threw out initially to take a look at for the select board meeting was the Monday, the November 17th. But now I'm thinking that maybe we better do a little more work on what we want to present to the select board. Think about it, talk a little bit more about it, maybe this meeting, and wait till after our next meeting to try and gel some of these things. I think Whitney, you were saying like a quick presentation. If we could give like a quick presentation, kind of capitalizing on what Chris just went over, would probably be what we would do.
And don't drive yourself crazy over it. The verbal presentation is fine too, but I think that would be helpful. What I've seen is that some select board members especially really appreciate something to look at.
Okay, so maybe if we work on that and just kind of gel it at our next meeting, which is November 20th, I believe, and then maybe we can meet with the select board maybe December 1st or December 8th. How's that sound, everybody?
That sounds good.
Like a
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
great idea.
And if I were you all, I would just probably go ahead and request that with Affinity House now, so that they have that on the queue.
Okay. In that case, I would probably lean more towards December 8th.
We meet the 1st and 3rd, so it'd be the 1st or the 15th.
Oh. The select board meets weekly, I thought.
No, we've been meeting bi-weekly for about 2 years, but we do lots of special meetings, so we end up meeting more than twice a month.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's do, what do you think, committee? The 1st or the 15th?
Probably the 15th, give more time
Yeah.
for,
Get more time to put the
Organizing.
presentation together.
yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Good. Okay. Let's do the 15th then, and then I will talk to Finity House and see if we can get that on the agenda for the 15th. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Good. Okay.
All right. Any other discussion on this topic? All right. Cool. Thank you. All right. I think let's getting into the reports from the subcommittees. I don't know if we have anybody from both Patricia and Michael are not here. So I guess John will probably just skip that unless anyone else has an update on transportation.
Yeah, I would just mention one thing, because I'm a liaison to the Friends of the Belchertown Greenway. I work with that group, and you may have heard already. I don't know if they'll have something in the Sentinel or whatever, but the Greenway or the rail trail is receiving a couple of grants. One from the state, I think it's from Mass Trails, it's called, to repair the trestle bridge over the brook. And that's something that's been in the works for a couple of years, so it was nice to get that. And then,
So we actually have a grant for that now? Some money to get that repaired?
yes.
Nice.
know,
Is it enough?
Sorry?
Is it enough?
Yes, it's the amount that was requested.
Nice.
I don't know off the top of my head how much it is, but it's something where, I think it was Fuss and O'Neill that did a study, and there was money approved at a town meeting a year or two ago to do a study, and the study recommended what would have to be done and the approximate costs. And so then we went to this, I say we, Leanne Connolly went to the state, and been waiting for quite a while for the answer, but they just last week said that the grant is approved to repair the bridge, which is an important step in getting the bike trail going through. And then also there's another grant that is from the Department of Transportation that is going to improve the trail that now runs, I think, between Jackson Street and George Hannum. It's a little over a mile, maybe a mile and a quarter. And that's, I think, going to be done by the state with federal funding. So those were two big things that came through just recently.
That's good news.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, the group's been quite active, and we're getting support from the regional group, the Mass Central Rail Trail Organization, and we're trying to improve the website and fundraising and things like that. So, it's going to take a while, but bit by bit, it's going to get there. They want to complete the whole thing from Northampton to Boston, and it's about 10 miles in Belchertown. That's the largest section that still needs to be completed.
Rich, is there anything that this committee can do to help with, publicizing it or organizing?
That's a good question. Thank you. I think the group is, it's been growing in the number of people coming to the meetings, and also, some of the people are very enthusiastic and we're delegating things. So I think we're managing pretty well for now.
Okay, great. Any other transportation items before we move on?
Just a question. I haven't looked, but is there anything at the site of the EV charging station? Has anybody seen anything there?
John, I looked the other day. There are kind of posts with hardware, wrapped in plastic wrap. Last time I drove by a couple days ago, so they're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. That's progress.
very happy to see after all the time we've spent working on it. So
I just want to know when the party's going to be, when we take that bottle of champagne and christen it. Yeah.
It better be a soft bottle so it doesn't hurt it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
all right. The next item we have is the Belchertown Energy and Community Choice Program. I'll start off with that, John, and then you can add to it.
No, go right ahead.
John and I met, I guess, a couple weeks ago to work on the outreach flyer, and the goal of that is to get folks to opt up to 100% renewable energy. I have a copy of it here with the wording we landed on, and I sent this out to the committee also, I think, earlier this week. So if anybody has any comments, I think let us know.
It looked great.
Thank you.
I was very impressed, and the way it was worded, like that, you're still saving money and you're also helping to reduce greenhouse gases and help our planet. So I'm signing up.
Great.
There you go.
One more. Yeah, I think the only comment I got, email response, Patricia did have a comment about the order of the words, and I replied to her, and I think we're pretty good with where we are, because we had tried something like that originally, and we wanted to really promote the opt up as the purpose of this flyer. So I think we're going to keep the wording as it is. Do we need to vote to approve this, or can I just go ahead and send it back to Good Energy and tell them that we're good to go?
Before you do, Chris and Whitney, Chris and I'll send it to you, so you'll have it. But interestingly enough, on my way up, on my drive down to DC, I got a call from Melissa at Finity, and there was a question from somebody in town asking about, what percentage of the town is signed up on that in the program. And the discussion led to, I said, well, we have, 4,000 residents. And she said, well, there's 17,000 residents in town. And it made me realize that it's actually 4,000 households and businesses that are signed up for that.
Right.
Correct.
So we might want to change that. I know, Chris, we were talking about it a little bit, but it kind of hit home when it's just funny that she asked, the question came up today, and it kind of dovetails right into this. So we might want to consider changing that to 4,000 households and businesses.
Households in the opening line. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Great.
Because there's probably about 6,000 households that could sign up for that. So if everybody's okay with that, we'll wordsmith that a little bit more.
That's
And
better.
then I think the question when we send that back to Good Energy would be if they could give us a read on how many, how many households or businesses were actually qualified to join. In other words, you had to be on National Grid. So I don't know what percentage are already on a third party, which weren't included in this program initially. So I'd kind of like to know that as well.
Okay. So I can make that change and send that back to Good Energy, because I know she had emailed to ask if we had any additional comments. So I wanted to get everybody's feedback first, and I can send that off to her tonight.
Okay.
John, did you have anything else on the community energy choice?
Only that we did, well, I think that might be on the agenda further down on the Lake Wallace Fall Festival. We had a booth there, but we can talk about that under that agenda item.
Okay. All right. Anything else on BCEC, or can we move on? Good.
I don't think I have anything else.
All right. So up next, we've got public outreach. So it's Reed and John.
Yes, so there was, so a couple weeks ago, I sent an article to the newspaper on the EV incentives, the state incentives. I wasn't sure because I emailed it to them and then I didn't actually get any sort of confirmation or anything. I don't know if they usually send anything or not. Okay, they don't. Okay, all right. So I wasn't sure. I thought like, oh, maybe it just disappeared, and then I checked my paper like a week later and it was in there, so that was good. I've since, so we also have in our EV charger article ready for whenever we kind of have it installed and tested, so that's ready to go whenever we do that, maybe like a month or two. And then I also wrote an article about basically leaves in people's yards, a very different topic from the other two articles, kind of just on the benefits of not shipping them off to people and to kind of, that's one way that you can kind of cut down on emissions while also helping with like ecological stuff and also hopefully just simpler. So I sent that around everybody, and I think pretty much everyone's actually responded and gave me some good feedback. So that was really nice. So I'm gonna probably polish that up a little bit. I'm trying to, there's a bunch of other things I could work into the article, but I'm trying to keep it semi-short and straight to the point to kind of not lose people too much. But I'm gonna hopefully get that out maybe like tomorrow with any luck. One thing I don't know is how often does the paper get published?
Weekly.
Weekly. Okay. So hopefully I can get that out for the next week or maybe the week after. Right now this was a little bit of a race against the clock for getting it out before the leaves have already fallen and
Right.
I missed my window.
I know, I saw somebody raking leaves today and I thought of your article. I was like,
Yeah.
almost wanted to pull over and say, leave your leaves.
Yeah. Good news with that article is it's not time dependent, so I can always save it for next year or publish it again next year maybe if needed. But so yeah, so that's another one that's kind of on the way. So there's a few articles that'll be kind of happening in a short time period.
I think that's just like you said, a short and to the point article like that, and to have that come out from the committee is, periodically is a very good thing. One thing I had emailed to read about was we were trying to establish a energy sustainability like guest column. And so I don't know when that gets submitted to the Sentinel, if it could say, like from the Belchertown Energy and Sustainability Committee. I think at one time, is Joanne here or no?
Yes.
Yes, she is.
So Joanne, I can't remember how we used to do that with the heading when things were submitted as something from the committee.
It was submitted as a committee, as the committee as an author.
Yeah, and I did submit this one that way as well, and I don't know if they missed it or if they didn't want to do that or something, but I think it just said Belchertown for kind of who and where it was from, but I did kind of say like submitted by the Belchertown Energy Sustainability Committee. So I can keep doing that. They might have just missed it this time.
Yeah, I wonder if we can you just put that in the body of what you send, or was that in the body of what you sent the last time?
I think it was pretty much, it was either in the body or it might have just been like right in the title or something like that.
Yeah, huh. Well, we'll just keep trying. So, but nice work on that.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, anything else on outreach?
I just was going to mention the Carriagetown Chronicle as another outlet for these things. I don't know how many have signed up for that now, but probably those people may have seen things in the Sentinel anyways, but it doesn't hurt to sort of raise awareness. So, you know, they're soliciting things from various town departments. I think it would be possible to submit something there. I don't know, but it's just something that occurred to me.
Yeah, and I know John had gotten a couple of our things in. The last one we had, I think it was a version of our EV incentive one, and also the heat pump winter electricity rebate that we put on our website. He also got that in the Chronicle. So, but I don't know. I think it's a monthly one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that might be one where we can.
The
Also
first of every month.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I did have a communication from somebody in the communications department. It wasn't Kate. It was, I think, the new person. But in fact, she was asking, you know, do we have anything to submit? And I suggested that we'll try and do something, you know, every month under the heading of energy and sustainability update or something like that. So she was very open to that. So that would be a good place to, you know, because as you saw in the Chronicles, there was, you know, it was under the heading of energy sustainability update, I believe. So yeah, that would be a good place to do that as well.
Would we submit that to the to her, or is there a different place that we submit that?
Let me find that out and get back to you.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to the next one.
I actually, as usual, I do have one more thing. So
Go ahead, Joe.
the other thing that was supposed to go in the Sentinel that never did for whatever reason was, you know, we had the 1-year anniversary information that went out, and some of that did get on BCTV, some of it did get into the Chronicles, but I don't think everything ever got into the Sentinel, and it's kind of too late now to do the 1-year anniversary since we're several months past it now. But I think I had the action item from a meeting or two ago to come up with a kind of a rewrite on the anniversary article and incorporate more of the opt-up stuff in there as well. So I'll try and get that out for the committee to take a look at before the next meeting. So I apologize for not getting a chance on that yet.
I just wanted to mention, I think, Reed, you're doing a really good job on getting information, you know, writing it up and getting it out. And keep it up. It's awesome.
Yep.
I agree.
All right. Up next, we've got events with Kathy.
Okay, so we will talk about Lake Wallace a little bit later, but that was something that John and Chris attended, and I also attended for a short while. I did reach out to the farmers market, to Brittany, and have not gotten a response. I emailed her, just expressing our interest in maybe getting involved in the 2 indoor markets that they're going to be doing, and then also reiterating that, you know, for next year, we may want to, you know, have an information booth there, whether we do it every week or a few times. We can discuss that. Other events that I you know, been thinking of and that have come up in discussions before are the Food Truck Fridays, which are June, July, and August. Whether we have an information booth or we try to do the recycling and composting idea again, which I think would be really great for the community. That's a pretty well attended, those are pretty well attended events, given if the weather's good, especially. So I think it's a good way to show the community that, you know, the importance of recycling and composting. So that's something we can look into. And I think as we develop our goals that Whitney was talking about at the beginning, you know, we can decide which areas we really want to focus on and which of these types of events are the most important or, you know, most effective for us. Another one that we already have participated in is Earth Day, and I think we should continue doing that. John, I think you said when we were at Lake Wallace, the National Night Out, which is usually also in the summer, which is another great event that's pretty well attended in town. Somehow, you know, having an event there, having a booth there, or maybe again doing recycling and composting. There's also an electronics recycling event. I think it's held at St. Francis, which is another kind of overlap with us, you know, with energy and sustainability, of course, sustainability with recycling. And then going further for community outreach, the Green Energy Consumer Alliance, I'm going to try to look more into that Sunday event and the EV showcase events that they promote. I think last meeting, Patricia mentioned that she's signed up or put in an application to be an EV ambassador. So that those could be future items that we can start developing. Any questions or any?
No, I think it's great that we're sort of getting out there and planning to be at these events and just let the community know that we're here and we're doing stuff. And I think everything we've done kind of so far, like when we did the tabling at the farmers market over the summer, it's usually focused on the community energy choice program and the opt up part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be good just to have this sort of you know, maybe we can make a poster or some collateral that just sort of shows everything that we're doing, all the initiatives that we're working on and what could be coming, and just sort of get people engaged, and sort of promote what we're doing a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing I did bring up, I think I was talking with John when we were at Lake Wallace, you know, having something to draw people in, and I don't know, you know, what we have as far as money or budget, but like having a sticker that you can give away, or, you know, bumper sticker or something, you know, that would attract people.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's some, you know, some way that if you get their name, maybe have them sign a form, you know, just so we kind of keep track of how many people we're actually interacting with. And if they do that, you know, they get a sticker, or, you know, we can come up with some sort of fun thing. So.
yeah. I can volunteer my graphic design skills if we want to do a sticker. I'd love to. Always up for that. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else on the events?
That and you know, just being aware of what's on the calendar, you know, where that calendar is on the events in town, and how do we find out about these things, and then how do we, you know, organize to attend them, I think is, you know, we need to know like a month in advance or more, you know, which ones we're going to support and organize that. So.
Yeah, I basically went and looked at the calendar for last year and just went through every month and just looked at all the different events, and selected the ones that I thought that were most applicable. But yeah, once we kind of decide our direction, then I can start looking into, you know, contacting the people who are in charge of those events and, you know, expressing our interest to get involved.
No, that's great.
I was wondering if it would be possible to make sort of a chart that has the events and then decide which ones are priorities, like the Earth Day one, for instance, you know, where that's a focus, and, you know, also maybe not overextending ourselves? I mean, is it maybe, picking the top however many we agree on, and then if there are annual events, there could be a calendar where we wouldn't be kind of figuring out a month or two before because we'd already know which ones we're going to be tabling at. Then other things come up from time to time, but it seems like it could be organized in for an annual basis. I was wondering, anyways.
Yeah, I like the idea of having having a sheet with a list of events, and then we can do signups there, like who's able to attend. And if there's no availability, or it seems like it's maybe not a not as good of an opportunity, right? We like you said, we can figure out where to kind of focus our energy. So I like that.
Exactly, yeah.
So you already have a list. Do you want to just put that in a spreadsheet, and we can,
Yeah,
like,
I
if
can
you have
do
a
that.
list of events? So
Mhm.
cool. Thank you.
I'll share it with the committee here.
All right. Anything else on events?
That's it for me.
All right. All right. So Rich sent out some of the things he's thinking about. I guess you've gone through the climate resilience and sustainability plan. Do you want to talk about that, Rich?
Yeah, I think, I did this over the summer, and I've been thinking about it, but I don't want to, go in too many different directions. I know, like like we were saying, with the EV chargers getting in and community choice, the energy, the electric part kind of getting established now. We might be looking for other areas to go out to, but um, you mentioned like there's 7 different areas or something. There's a lot of stuff in the report. So my particular interest is in land conservation, but that's, in a way, energy and sustainability, because if you don't have land, I'm sure the town's focused on that in general because they don't want, we don't all want the nature of Belchertown to change too much. And just, I know there's a lot of pressure for development and for housing, but there is a lot of land already preserved. And I just, in the plan, it asks for uh, sort of targeting parcels and seeing what priorities are. And I think to some extent, from what little I know, Doug Albertson and Sarah Fortune and others have already been looking at these things, and there are some plans for land acquisition. I'm active with the Kestrel Land Trust, and I've talked with some of their people, and I know there's something up for approval at the conservation meeting on this coming Monday, and I think it's quite a large acquisition of land. Kestrel is looking at it as trying to get from the Quabbin to the Holyoke Range as sort of a wildlife corridor. And, generally people look for adjacent pieces so to build like a larger area of open space. So I noticed that was in the plan, and I didn't know, I'm still new in town, just a couple of years, and I see that there have been plans and there's a call for plans, but I'm still kind of confused about I don't know if John, you would know, or Whitney, you would know, like that I'm sure this comes up. And then John, you mentioned the greenhouse gas emissions inventory. I saw the publication that the town has on that, but it's still not very specific. I imagine different departments must have looked already at ways they could conserve energy, and I know that's coming up to mention about the library getting new windows and supporting that. But without getting into the details of it, I could just say the my areas of interest, and I don't know if that means that we're going to do anything about them, are the open space and recreation and the, not just the source of energy being renewable, but trying to conserve energy. I mean, I think that certainly falls within the purview of this group. And then that's really it. It kind of dovetails in my interest in trails, and that's why I'm involved with the Greenway group. There are a lot of beautiful trails in Belchertown, but I'm hoping that, and again, I don't know if it's this is the right place to address it, but I'm sure it's related. So I wrote it all up, but I don't know how to present it now, and I don't necessarily think that anything's going to go forward with it exactly. But since I think I was invited, and the other new member, I forget his name now. I don't know if he's there tonight. The young man who's a senior at UMass,
Sam.
Sam. He had looked at the report too, and had some ideas. I know, so that's about it for now. I don't know what anybody's reaction is.
So I think one of the things that we had discussed, previously as a committee is having somebody to specialize in each area of the Fuss and O'Neill goals, like land use management, transportation, food security. And if you're, it sounds to me like that's your, land is your kind of your biggest area of interest. So I think it would be great if that's something that you're interested in, if you can sort of keep tabs on what's going on that front, and maybe report back to back to this committee. And then, if there are ways we can help out or ways we can advise, to help with the efforts that the town is already making, that would be great. Just to have somebody from this committee sort of being, involved in that, because we haven't had that as far as I know, to date.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. I am interested, and I do try to keep informed about it, but I gather that a lot happens sort of behind the scenes, and so maybe people in the town are talking to landowners, but it's not public knowledge yet. It's sort of not that there's anything wrong with doing it that way. It's sort of personal business until it becomes public business, if you know what I mean, like when you're dealing with landowners. So, but from what I gather, since I looked at the plan, I've learned that the town is quite active in and proactive in this area, and I will definitely try to bring back information and see if there's anything else that our group could do to help.
Yeah, I think that's been, I guess, one of the, as far as our committee goes, and Rich, you touched on it very well. There's other committees and groups and parts of the town government that are actively working on some of these things, and it's who's doing what kind of thing. And I think, Chris, what you were saying is if like if you were to take the land conservation part over and just be aware of who's working on what, where, if there's any gaps that we can fill in on, or certainly not to work on something that another committee or department's already working on. I think that's always been kind of the issues we face when we figure out what to work on. And so this is all a good discussion for leading up to that select board meeting, in the middle of December. I think that's something that we should, kind of noodle through and figure out how to suggest and get those kind of directions.
Yeah, you don't want to like overlap or be repeating anything that anybody else is doing, and it
Exactly.
definitely does. There is a lot of overlap in these types of things, but um, it's a little bit of what we are working on, and then what the select board might want the group to work on, and kind of mutually agreeing on what those areas would be, especially when a couple of big things are nearing completion, and then we're looking for other directions or other projects to move out on, and again, without overextending ourselves. So, because I remember you talking about that before, John, that, okay, just because there are 7 areas, it doesn't mean we have to have projects going in all 7. That would be too much for this size of a group. But it's just if the current subcommittee structure, it matches what we want to have going forward. Um, and maybe it is, I don't know, but I'm new here, so uh,
We'll figure it out.
yeah. Um, but those are my interests, so um, there you go.
Well, we appreciate you, kind of putting this thought in there. And I think the great thing about the work that we're doing is there are so many different facets of it. It's easy to get overwhelmed, but there's also so many things to dig in on. So I think just, having somebody, if you're passionate about land use and land conservation, great. Let's figure out how to put that to work.
Okay,
Cool.
sounds good.
And then the only other thing I was going to add to your comments is I do have some experience doing greenhouse gas emissions inventory. I do it for my company.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and it's different for every company is different. I'm sure municipalities are different, even from that. So it's not kind of plug and play, but at the same time, I do kind of know my way around it. So if that's something you're interested in too, we can talk. And I know that they did it through the clean energy extension at UMass. I think the last time the inventory was done. So that was done as a service through UMass. I don't think there's anybody in the town that did it, as part of their work.
I see.
But that is something we could go through and see what they've identified, and how we can reduce the higher emitting, like what are the biggest impact things we could be focusing on. I think that's another good project this committee should consider. Going off of that last greenhouse gas emissions report, what should we be focusing on as a town, and how can we, because our role is to advise the select board, right? Like we can't, we're not
No,
drafting
right.
bylaws, right? But we can advise the planning committee or the planning board or the select board, so the conservation committee. So yeah, so I think it'll be helpful to understand what our current inventory is. We could potentially do an annual inventory ourselves. I don't know how much bandwidth we would have to do that, but I think at least we could take the one that's already been done and figure out what the high impact areas are, and see how to maybe address those.
When was that done, the UMass one?
I believe it was for 2024. I think it came out in the
Okay. It was last year, they came out with it, but some of the numbers were based on the last set of data that they had, which was several years earlier. So um, I'll send out. I have that that report. I'll send it out to everybody again because, right, Rich, I don't think you had it, and Sam doesn't have it. I don't, and Kathy, I don't think you have seen it.
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, so I'll send that out to everybody again, just to take a look at it. It's very interesting, and again, there is some good recommendations or things of interest in there that we could certainly dig into.
I thought it was a good report. I haven't looked at it in close detail, but to me it seemed fairly general. Talking about state goals, and yeah, we have a lot of cars, and I guess what I'm thinking about is and then this may have already happened, and but looking at the town buildings and the town departments, for instance, the library. Okay, so they're going to get the windows. Is that been looked at across the board as ways to reduce the carbon footprint of our town? I don't know. Yeah, because I don't really think the the document that I saw got into the level of detail that it would be necessary to go into to really make an impact. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's like what are the light switches and what are the bulbs, and again, maybe the town has already taken a lot of action on that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I would imagine they have done, quite a bit, but there may be other areas that where savings could be realized, but I don't know like what department would be looking at that.
yeah. The DPU actually did for the green communities. For us to be a green community, we had to go through a lot of that for the municipal buildings with, LED lighting and, where better insulation can be and things like that. Steve Williams was the big driver to that, but now, he's got certainly a full plate. And I actually asked him about who's kind of got that now, and Linda Ledoux at the DPW is doing that, and I want to touch base with her on kind of where all that stands as well.
Okay,
So
great.
All right. Anything else on areas of interest? All right. Thank you, Rich.
thank you.
All right. Lake Wallace. So as Kathy mentioned earlier, we had a booth set up. I think John, Kathy, and I were there. Pretty good turnout, I think, overall for the event. I was there with my daughter for a couple hours, and we had 5 or 6 people, I think, come and talk to us while we were there about engaging with us about the opt-up program or for the energy choice. So it didn't seem like it was a huge interest, because I think everybody that's kind of interested already maybe knows about it, but I feel like still being there and talking to those people was helpful. So I don't know, Kathy, John, what your thoughts are.
The people you spoke to, were they already signed up, or had they known about it?
Some of them weren't aware of the program. I think the one gentleman had a third-party supplier, so he was going to look about switching to see if it would save him money and if he was going to be able to. And then I think somebody thought that they were on the default, the standard. Yeah, and were interested in switching to the opt-up. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was there for a shorter period of time than you and John, so I didn't really interact with anybody, but it was very well attended in general. Again, thinking how can we attract people, to a table or a booth, and get, kind of hook them in so we can bend their ear a bit and, share what the committee does and all the different programs that we've been involved in.
Fortunately, it was a nice day, and it was a good day to set up a booth. It wasn't windy, it wasn't raining, so it was a good day to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like the idea of having a more kind of general, bring people in, talk about the committee's work in general, and then if they're into land conservation, we can talk about that. If they're into energy and like what's your utility bill like, we can talk about that. We can kind of
maybe having larger display posters that then if somebody steps up, they can read, and they could maybe be some other handouts.
Right. See what their area of interest is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but yeah, it was good that we were there. I think again, just for the public, presence of mind that, we are a committee, we're here, we're doing this work. So.
Right, and that's again, another, as Rich mentioned, a yearly event that we can just have that on our calendar and say, okay, it's coming up, we know it's, I think, was it the first weekend in October?
I think so.
Yeah, so, have some, everybody, commit to sign up for a period of time and share the work, so.
I wanted to ask about the energy choice as far as new town residents. I know there was some talk a while back about having realtors or give some information possibly, or I just wonder, I'm particularly sensitive to it because when my wife and I moved to town, the program was just starting, but we never heard about it. So we got a third-party supplier and we signed up for 2 years because it's cheaper that way. Or they make it required if you want the good rate to go for 2 years. And that's going to be up in a month or two. So I'm going to then, go to the town program and the 100%. But since I moved to town, my daughter and my sister-in-law have moved to town also because Belchertown is awesome. And but I think that neither of them heard about it. They heard about it from me, but they didn't hear about it as new town residents. And people are building and buying houses all the time. That seems important to me that people would know that's an option right off the bat. And I don't know if that's happening now or not. It doesn't seem like it is because my daughter and her husband bought a house and then they sold that and bought another house in town, but nobody talked to them about their options.
So I think any National Grid resident, if you create a new account, I think I don't know if you're enrolled automatically in the program or if you get something in the mail. John, do you know which way that works?
Yeah, Good Energy does what they call a sweep every month or two, and they go through and they look at anybody that's come into town or has started a National Grid account, and then they actually get mailed the information.
Oh, okay.
But I think in your case, Rich, what may have happened was since they do it every couple of months, like you didn't know about it, so you signed up for a third party supplier. So you probably didn't get any information because you were no longer a National Grid supplied customer.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. But that's a good point. I'll talk to Good Energy about that because I think a little more clarification on that as well.
Well,
And yeah, I think it's time to resurrect that real estate thing too and try and get that in the hands of some realtors.
because I think the other issue is there's so much mail about solar and these third party suppliers. I think it's easy for this to be it's another piece of junk mail. It doesn't have the official no matter how it looks. It's different if you talk to your realtor and they say, okay, did you know this is a program that the town offers, or they see our booth somewhere, like the importance of having that presence or having an article in the Sentinel periodically just to keep it on people's keep it kind of in their just have the awareness of it. I think realtors might be tough because I know they operate in different like I think when we bought our house here 15 years ago, we worked with a woman out of Northampton. So I'm sure there are realtors in town specifically, but is there anything we could do even in the broader area in the valley, I guess, to promote it or let them know like, oh hey, your people are moving into a house in Belchertown, we have this program.
Or is there any like central department or something within Belchertown that you have to go to when you get your house and then
Right.
they could do it?
So like the town clerk or somebody here as you're setting up your your accounts for what postal service and it's been so long I don't remember what we went through, but yes,
Taxes.
I asked if, and maybe Rich, you can answer this since you actually went through it. I asked someone in town if there's like a welcome package that gets put out by the town for new residents to say, oh, this is, this is the town beach, and we have the town beach, and we have, the rec department does this, and I don't know if there was like an intro package was there anything like that when you moved in?
No,
No.
and I know my both family members who moved in didn't get anything like that either. And
Yeah.
I had to look up, about where the town beach is and,
Right.
contact the various town departments to find out what, the regulations were or what I needed to do. And everybody was very welcoming that I talked to. I give the town employees a lot of credit. They're very efficient and pleasant, but there was no packet of information.
Go ahead, John.
Every week in the paper, there is in the real estate section of the Springfield paper, there is the listings of who bought a house in town. So that, we didn't know that, we didn't find out that. So and it tells the price they paid and who sold, who bought. So that is a source of finding out people who are homeowners. Now, renters, there
Right.
isn't anything.
Yeah.
But if it's a large rental place, you could probably do something about that. Sometimes rent includes electricity, sometimes.
Right, so it would be the owner of the
Right,
building that would.
Yeah.
Do the opt-up, yeah.
and I mean, you could do anything from a little postcard, and if it had the official seal that says, this is sponsored by the town of Belchertown, if you're interested, give them the website. Or if you want to get a little more jazzed up, you could actually say a few things about where there is a town beach, that there is whatever. I'm thinking if you go downstairs or upstairs, wherever, to the outside the tax place, there's that whole counter that has freebies, and there are things that talk about town. And then
Yes.
down by conservation, there's paperwork that tells about where there's places to walk and things like that. I mean, it wouldn't be tremendously hard to get something worked out. It's a question of postage or a question of a postcard saying if you stop at, whoever will be willing to do it. If you stop at the town clerk, they'll be glad to hand you a welcome package. I mean, it might be something that, the people who are trying to advertise for the town and get our name known as a good place. That's somewhat simple, especially if it's stop by the town hall and a specific person or a specific place. You can pick up a folder of all sorts of things.
Information.
And there's some down there that's information like from the state, Galvin sends out things about safety and about notices of certain things. So you could slip that stuff in. So maybe it's I don't know how many people move in, but certainly for homeowners, we could do something. Send a postcard and say, stop by for a welcome. That might be something that would be a nice publicity because I don't know, I didn't know there was a town beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I said, we moved in 15 years ago, and felt like it took a very long time for us to get connected into what's going on in the town. If you don't read the Sentinel, if you don't, think to come to town hall and look at the counter, it's kind of, we all know it's there now, but yeah, it would be good to have.
Yeah,
some
it
outreach.
depends on it's the onus is on the individual to
Right.
seek out that information. And if you've got
you've
got jobs out of town and you've got
Kids.
kids and you're juggling a lot, you
I
may
mean,
not have this.
50 years ago, they had the welcome wagon.
It's
And
right.
The ladies would come and give the homeowner a booklet about information, like a folder about the town, coupons for the pizza place or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's doable, it was doable, maybe it's a time to go back to it.
Yeah, I like that. I hadn't heard of the welcome wagon. I think we need to resurrect that.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
I remember having
Well,
that when I was a kid.
born.
Yeah, when I was a kid, like, we moved in 1973, and I remember the welcome wagon coming. It wasn't in this area, but it was in Connecticut, so.
Yeah.
I remember the welcome wagon ladies coming, giving my mom all sorts of things.
Well, there's a communications department, right?
Yeah, I think that's what Joanne was referring to. Yeah, that would be very easily, accomplished by the communications department.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it is to get.
Communicate what Belchertown has to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, John, go ahead.
Go ahead. I say I can talk to the communications department and see, if they've thought about something like that or how it's done now, if at all, and express some of these ideas if everybody's okay with that, unless somebody else wants to take it.
That
All
sounds great.
yours.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, I'll do that.
All right. All right, moving through these, if there's no other things on Lake Wallace. I think, John, you're up next for the library grant support letter.
Oh yeah, I sent out, Chris Huberson from the director of the Clap Memorial Library contacted me, and they're applying for a grant through the Community Preservation Committee for some new windows. Actually, I took a picture. I'll send it out to everybody. The windows that some of the windows that might that are needed replacing. So she asked that that the Energy Sustainability Committee, if we would write a letter on behalf of us to support the grant funding. So I sent it out. Most of you gave me feedback. If there's anything that anybody wants to add, let me know. It has to be back to her by beginning November. But if everybody's okay with it, I'll just she liked it as well, so I can just complete that and close that off.
Yeah, I thought it looks.
The one thing I was.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
I thought your letter looked good, John.
I tried to, as Reed said, I tried to keep it kind of direct and uncomplicated, without going into a lot of details on those particular windows and or even some of the things in town that references, having this kind of project be done. The only thing I got to look into was, and I actually, in that phone call that I had from the town admin today on the BCEC program, I did ask about, can it be on town letterhead? And the answer kind of was no, because it's not like an official thing. But I'm open to any ideas on, how to put some kind of heading on there. And in fact, I was going to talk to the communications department about that as well. So that's why I figured I owe them a phone call on a couple things. And when you write a letter of like that, a letter of support from a committee, how does it look kind of like more official,
Mm.
All right, so it sounds like everybody's happy with the letter, so I think you're good to send it, John.
Yep.
It would be good, like you said, to have a template, and maybe that's something we can have as a resource, because I'm sure we do this periodically. So
Mhm.
Yep. I'll look and see if there's a template. Good idea.
Cool. Anything else on permitting, or I'm sorry, on the library grant letter?
Good.
The next item we have here is clean energy site permitting sessions. So this is an ongoing project that the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, DOER, is working on. They released draft regulations and guidelines to implement reform to the state siting and permitting for clean energy infrastructure stemming from the 2024 Climate Act, signed November 24. So the kind of goal of this project is to, there are 351 different municipalities in Massachusetts, and we all, of course, have different local bylaws, which makes it very difficult for wind, solar, and battery projects to be built because they have to kind of conform to the town's bylaws. And then the other issue that I think they're trying to address is the speed of the permitting. So one of the requirements of this law is there's now a 12-month window from the time a project is submitted to the time that it has to be approved. And my understanding is if it's not approved in those 12 months, then it's automatically, it gets the go ahead because they don't want to hold up these clean energy projects. So anyway, so DOER is sort of creating a template or a standardized permitting, set of regulations that each town will be required to adopt. And the timeline for that is spring of 26. So we're kind of getting to the end of this process. They released the draft, guidelines or what the draft regulations of what this is going to look like. And they had an information session last week at UMass that John and I went to. I think it was overall, it was a good conversation. It was about a 2-hour, they kind of ran through their thinking, and then a lot of good question and answer from the community. It was pretty well attended. Maybe, I don't know what, John, 40 people in the crowd. We had some questions. We wanted to understand sort of how this would affect Belchertown's existing bylaws, because it wasn't clear if these were in addition to what we already have, or these would kind of replace. And the idea is we will need to bring the Belchertown code into, to make it concurrent or compliant with these new regulations. And then one of the points that Jim Barry brought up for us to ask about was, as John mentioned earlier, we are a green community, and we adjusted our bylaws so that for solar permitting and renewable energy permitting, so that we would meet these requirements. And so how does this affect the work we've already done to update our bylaws? And the answer was the green community requirements were 10 years old. So this is sort of in the same spirit. It just adds a little bit more. My takeaway was because we've already done the work to be a green community, we will have less, work to get our bylaws in line with, with this new requirements coming down from DOER. I think the last piece that I wanted to mention was there was a lot of, far and away the biggest feedback from the audience was from smaller towns in the area, kind of expressing frustration or concern about, not having the resources as a town to be able to, update their bylaws in time, and also to effectively permit these projects, because it is, a lot of work to go through. And the concern that was raised is that's where the projects go, is, areas, low population, big open spaces, let's clear a field and put in solar panels or put batteries, a battery system in or something like that. So I don't think DOER had a particularly good answer to that question, other than that's what they're working on, and they're trying to come up with a way for small towns to be able to, to sort of meet their goals effectively, and not just be, kind of caught up in these new regulations without being able to effectively handle them. John, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
And I think this was geared more for, let's call them smaller projects, meaning 25 megawatt or less, I think. Wasn't it 25 megawatts, Chris, I think?
For solar, yeah. Battery was different. Yeah, smaller projects.
Which is still, a good size solar field, and they also are working on a rating system, or a score, a site score system. So if it's, like next to a watershed, or if it's in an area that's, or if they have to clear cut a large area, you know, it's going to get a lower, or actually a higher score for not being approved, I guess is the way it's being done, versus something like, you know, canopies over parking lots or something like that, that is less intrusive, would get a better score. So, you know, they're working on that too. And then, and depending on what that score is, they'll give you some mitigation fees as well. Um, to kind of balance off any of the damage that might be done. So they got a lot to do. They got a lot of feedback from, as Chris said, the towns, especially the smaller ones, on how to implement it with the resourcing that they have. And you know, I think March 1st is what they're shooting for now to kind of come up with the draft, the final draft proposal. Did I lose the screen?
Something happened. That's not
Did you get my audio? I shut off my camera because it's slowing up my system, but I'm just using my audio.
No, it's coming through, but
Okay.
I don't know what happened in the boardroom. Oh, there
Yeah.
it is. It's back now.
Okay.
We lost something there, Chris. I can't hear. Can you hear them, John?
I can't hear Chris. No. It says you're unmuted.
They're working on it.
Nope. Maybe try unmuting, or try muting and then unmuting. Because I saw, Chris, you were on mute for a short time. Now you're on mute.
Here. How's that?
That's
Yes.
good.
Okay, I think it's switched off of something for echo canceling. Well, we heard what you were saying, John, and then our camera and microphone cut out apparently, but we're back.
Okay.
But we could hear you, yes.
Yeah.
We were able to hear you.
Okay, so we're good. The only other thing I was going to add to the DOER regulations is, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Doug Albertson and the town is on top of this, and they're aware of it and they're working on it. We just want to sort of, as you know, as the Energy and Sustainability Committee, we just want to be aware of the changes so we can speak to it and, you know, again, support it if we need to support the town.
Right. In fact, I think it was a public hearing scheduled. Might have been yesterday. I don't know how that went because I wasn't available, but.
Yeah, I wasn't either. But I think we just wanted to kind of put it on everybody's radar that this is a new thing that's coming down, and you know, it's great because it's going to help, you know, streamline the process to make, you know, to get solar in town or renewable projects, or in the state rather. But I think, you know, the concern is not only, you know, for the workload it's going to put on these smaller communities, but also sort of taking the ability for a town to sort of push back on a project if they, you know, sort of the environmental impacts or some of the other things. I think it will sort of make it easier for the projects to go through, which is great, but could take some of the, you know, some of the control away from the town. So I think there's just a balance there that they're trying to, you know, sort of thread the needle on. But I guess we'll keep you all posted as that, you know, keeps going. Any other questions or anything on that?
No.
Cool.
It's great.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, a couple more items here. John, you have Clean Energy Climate Action Group.
Oh yeah, that was on Tuesday. It's the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. It was Mimi Kaplan. She had spoken to our committee a year or so ago, and it's basically another outreach of the DOER. And so they had their quarterly meeting on Tuesday, which I attended. And basically, Allison Gage, who is the DOER coordinator for the siting and permitting, that Chris and I, she was the one that was one of the presenters that Chris and I went to at UMass the prior Wednesday. She was there again going over everything. And it sounded like that based on, Chris, the meeting that you and I were at on Wednesday at UMass with the other towns there, that they really did hear some things that they have to kind of retool and work into their system around, implementation and looking at what towns are already doing, and trying to work with the existing bylaws and not be, overbearing. So they're aware of all that. And I think that's when she said they're shooting now for March 1st. I think it was supposed to be earlier, but they know they got some work to do. So they're going back to the drawing board on a couple things.
Okay.
That's it for that.
And are Doug and or other people from the town on that quarterly meeting that you're on?
They were not.
Okay.
No. And that's all I'll say.
Okay. All right. Anything else on that? Cool. All right. The last item we have on the agenda is the Cultural Council grant spending. I think, John, that's you as well.
All right. So we did have a $500 awarded grant for this year. And I think that grant is due to be closed sometime in November. So if anybody, like Kathy, you were saying you had some ideas about things to do to kind of draw people in. If there's any supplies that you can think of that, you might want to need, go ahead and purchase them, and then we can submit those receipts at the end of the grant period and get reimbursed for them.
What date did you say, John? Is it closed? In other words, we can't use the money after that, or?
Yeah, I think it's only good for the year. Let me reach out to Molly on that.
Okay, to the end of the calendar year, December 31st.
I think it might be sometime in November.
Okay, so you'll find out.
Yeah.
But like if we did want to do some sort of stickers, yeah, that takes a little bit of lead time to, designing it, finding a vendor, to produce them.
Right.
That's something I've done. There are some services where we can get them turned around pretty quickly.
Pretty quick, yeah. I looked online as well.
500 is kind of right around.
or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, there's a few of them, but yeah, I think if we could come up with a design that everybody's happy with,
yeah,
we could probably get them ordered pretty quickly at least.
Okay.
So maybe we should talk.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that was mentioned earlier, I don't know if there's enough money for that as well as the stickers, or that the stickers would take it all up, is the a kind of a board that could be displayed talking about some of the areas that what the group is involved in and so forth. There's something that would, I don't know, stand on an easel or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
like I guess on foam board or something.
Right.
We have a sandwich board or an easel display that we did for the Opt Up campaign. John, I'm not sure how much that was, but we could maybe work that in as well.
I actually built that. So
yeah,
but of course we did.
but they have standees, and maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I'll look into buying a standees to have, so we could post some of those things.
Yeah, or we could make another, I mean, I've got plywood and hinges. We can make another easel and just do prints, from Staples or something. Well, again, I think we should figure out what it is we want to,
Yeah,
say.
right.
And then the actual doing it is probably not, it might be $50 or $100 to print, 2 posters, but.
Right. And
We can do
I don't know if any of that could happen, before this grant period closes. I got to find that out really quick and get back to you all. But I think maybe like supplies to do those kinds of things, I might look into, it was a good idea to maybe buying a couple of those standees, because mine's pretty heavy, it's 3/4 plywood or 1/2-inch plywood. And I think there's things that can be bought online that the reason why I built it was because we didn't have any money to buy it. So
Right.
now that we do, we should look into that.
Is
Well,
there,
John, I'm sorry.
sorry, John, is there a possibility that we could get a grant for 2026?
I was gonna look into that as well. Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah.
I was just gonna
I
say, I
gotta
don't think we
call
can.
Molly Robinson. She's the coordinator for that through the community cultural council, and I'll ask her those questions.
Okay, great.
Cool. Any other ideas or anything else we should be thinking about while we're spending this grant?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to hire John again because his prices are hard to beat. That's the friends and family discount.
That was just
right?
an introductory offer. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in my family, the family
Yeah,
rate is
that was the introductory offer. Price goes up considerably after that.
Uh-oh. We're gonna have to find another vendor.
Yeah, there you go.
cool. All
Well,
right.
that's a
Well,
good idea to buy the materials, and then the whole thing can be put together afterwards, or I don't know, just get a quote, and maybe even if it's not, well, you said it's a quick turnaround time on the stickers, so probably something can get done in the next month or however long it is.
yeah, I think typically we've had them. I've submitted designs to some of these companies and gotten things shipped within a week.
Within a week, yeah.
Yeah, and they're nice die cut vinyl stickers. So we could do something like that. So I think again the bigger thing is just what do we want to say? What's the message? What's the is there a logo? Is it
Right.
a leaf? Is it something with the town that incorporates the town's branding? But we don't want to run afoul of the
Right, or is it
communications.
just something like I'm a clean energy supporter, like,
Right.
yeah, something, yeah, fun that people can put on their car, or I don't know.
Yeah. So maybe we can put our heads together and try to come up with something.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. That's the end of the agenda, unless anybody has anything else.
I just wanted to say, Chris, you ran the meeting flawlessly.
Well, I still have 3 more things I have to do, so don't jinx it. Thank you, Rich. All right. Well, with that said, our next meeting
Nice
date
job,
is
Chris.
November 20th. I know that's getting close to Thanksgiving, but I think given all the things we have going, we should probably try to hold the meeting if we can.
Yes.
I'd just like to mention that that's my 70th birthday.
All right. So you'll be
Well-
bringing cake then?
You'll be bringing cake and you'll have to be here in person.
Okay. I don't know where else I'd rather be.
Yeah,
But I thought you guys were bringing the cake.
That could be arranged.
Yes.
It could be under the Cultural Council grant spending.
I just heard we had a $500 budget for Rich's
there
birthday
you go.
cake. All right, so next meeting is Rich's birthday, November 20th. I don't think there's any press or public here, so no questions. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Yes.
to adjourn.
Second.
Motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting is
Aye.
adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.